So, with it being a new year and all, as of time of writing this, the video is intended to go out on the first of the year 2024. It should go out first of the year 2024, but we'll see. I thought it would be cool to give the year a vague theme. Basically, a series of videos would be released about once a month, in addition to other more regular videos covering an overarching topic. In fact, I have a whole load of video series which I could do, and I thought it would be a cool idea to outline 5 of these potential series, and let you on both YouTube and Patreon decide which series is going to be done. They would be more than just simple explorations of the individual ship classes like we normally do, but instead go into detail about the background of them in universe, as well as outside in the real world. Why they were developed, what course their development looked like, and what the service lives of these classes looked like in general. Sort of like a couple of years ago I did Miranda Month, which was a series of videos covering the Miranda class from its development to service history to different variants. Which I really enjoyed, but, haven't followed up. So, I want to do that now, so let's get into it. The first idea I had would be an examination of the different classes which Starfleet introduced in the middle of the 24th century. What I'm calling the Galaxy family. Members of this generation are ships such as the Galaxy, weirdly, Nebula, New Orleans, Challenger, Springfield, Cheyenne, Norway, and Intrepid classes, with the latter two coming about at a later date but being generally related. What this video would do is explore why Starfleet developed this generation, the problems the Federation was facing, and how these ships served during their lives. The second idea, we all know that the Empire used TIE fighters almost exclusively during the reign of the Galactic Empire, and that these came in a wide variety of different models to accomplish different goals. We see many different models in service from our very first introduction of the type in A New Hope, and apparently they are still flying around during, when Palpatine somehow returned in a design that is not a blatant ripoff of a fan design made a couple of years earlier, the TIE Dagger. Disney. Aside from this, we don't really know much about where the line came from, what led to its development, and how the line changed and adapted over their time of service. This series would explore this and more, leaning heavily into legends, but with lots of headcanon to fill in the gaps, particularly where we do venture into the new canon, which is a lot of, hey, look at this slight design, and also the TIE Dagger is not a blatant ripoff. We're honest. Disney. Next up, we have the Romulans. We see very little of them during most of the shows, and what we do see leaves us with many questions. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a video series exploring not only the ships of the Romulan Star Empire, but also the history of the Star Navy as well, showing how the fleet developed and changed over its centuries of existence and frequent conflicts with the Federation and Klingons? Sounds like something I'd like to see, but if it's something you would like to see, then vote for this option. If you don't want to see it, vote for another, or don't vote, but you can. And number 4 on the list, Star Wars has really cool ship designs, from Star Destroyers down to cruisers, frigates, corvettes, shuttles, freighters, fighters, and even escape pods. It's the bigger ships, though, that I find have the largest on-screen impact. But how did we get here? In the real world, there is an easily traceable history of warships where you can follow the development of the battleship of the late Second World War to the galleon of the sources very 15th century. Does Star Wars have the same history behind their ships? pick this series if you want to find out. I mean, they do. It's definitely there. Also, I could talk about the Taiwanese, and they're really cool. And finally, for this series of ideas, largely because YouTube only lets you have 5 options in a poll, I have the idea of exploring the entire development cycle of the Excelsior class, as well as all of the ships which served alongside her in that generation in Starfleet. Classes such as the Centaur, Merced, Wambundu, and others. It would basically be like the Galaxy Family series, but slightly more in depth and wider in scope, as there's so much backstory behind Excelsior and it's such an important ship later on. Yes, that bucket of bolts was actually reasonably important. So, pick this option if you want. So, there you have it. 5 options for long-running YouTube video series for the channel to do in the coming year. There will be a YouTube poll going on up to decide what series gets picked up, and the channel supporters on Patreon will get a similar poll, with their votes counting for 3 YouTube votes, or the equivalent. Link below if you want to join Patreon. Supporters are probably also going to get plenty of sneak peeks and say in how the series develops, if that interests you. Look out for that poll. And as these are not necessarily the only 5 options, feel free to suggest your own ideas. Maybe we can make some shorter series this year and do them in bits. Sprinkle them around. I know I have a bunch of design ideas that I would like to do. I would like to do maybe a month and look at a couple of UNSC designs. I think Babylon 5 deserves more attention. Firefly, I want to do more on Firefly. So stay tuned for that, definitely. But yeah, make your own suggestions. Like I say, there's Patreon below if you want to do that. I'm going to say that again. Patreon, actually, I post artwork from all the videos. I know this video doesn't have any original artwork for it, but it's free. The art itself is free on Patreon. Just follow the link if you want the art. Feel free to jump over there, nab it from the posts, and use it for, whatever. I'm not particularly picky. Yeah, just figured I'd mention that.